So if you have a child or a student using this Kindle device, you as parents or teachers can restrict access to a lot of these things. Now we know the Kindle store has things for adults and children and all ages and genres, and we want to make sure to be careful about what is allowed on your device. So let's take a look at what options are available. We can go to the three lines at the top right, settings. And I already started using this and I went ahead and set some of the settings up, but I want to show you how to get to the parent section. So under settings, you can go to device options, parental controls, and restrictions. All right, so I have to enter my password. Now that the password has been entered, I'll hit OK. And so these are the things that I turned off earlier because this will be used by a middle school student. But the web browser, even though it says on, it's a little confusing because before it was selected on, but what it's saying is on, like you could use the web browser. So I went ahead and toggled it off. Then the Kindle store, again, so they can't make unauthorized purchases, which really this account has no credit card link to it. But if it was one, we can restrict that access. The cloud, to access the cloud, if there are any things connected to this account that the student can access, you can have the cloud off. And then Goodreads is access to Goodreads, a network of readers. I don't know much about that. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off as well, and I'll hit OK. So now, if you want to change the password as a parent, you can click that, but I'm not going to do that right now. You have to put in your old password. Let's go back home and see what it looks like. Okay, so here on the home page, you see some of the books that I already downloaded, some Scholastic stuff, vocabulary builder, some other things. Let's see, my clippings, Kindle. There's some dictionaries there. So before the restriction was applied, you had all of the different Kindle suggested books on the bottom, and a lot of them were not appropriate for children. So I went ahead and, like you saw, the settings were toggled off, and now the student can only access things that he is allowed to access, things that I download in there. Goodreader, you see, is grayed out now. As far as going to the Kindle store, he can't do that on his own. He has to do that with teacher assistance. I searched for a few books earlier, but of course it's always going to say there are no books. So they can't really access anything without adult assistance. But I just want to show you guys what it looks like and how we can go and let's go back home and check out the initial page. So how we can kind of restrict children's access to inappropriate things and make sure that the parent stays in control with these devices. If you'd like to turn WordWise off or some of the reading assistance off, you can. Go under settings. And then go to reading options. You'll see language and learning. And WordWise is on. Vocabulary Builder is on. I can turn those settings off. And children can access this too. You don't need to restrict that access. But if you want to add it, I'll show you what it looks like. So we go here to settings, top right. Back to reading options. Language and learning, and turn both on. Okay, and then let's go back home. So in this particular book, it is set up to have word assistance here. So as you see, this book has some little words above the words in the sentences to be likened by someone that's describing appeal, right? And if you look here, a statement that tells about, they're described or given a hint for description. So when that setting is turned on, a student can read, and as they're reading, if they need some additional assistance with words that might be typically a little difficult, then it's already built in to this device where it will predict and find words to assist the reader. So this is a good feature. And again, if you want to turn it off, say you're done with that, or you feel that yourself or the student does not need that level of support, go back to your reading options, language and learning, and you can just turn it off. So then you can just read the book in its entirety without additional support. To use Vocabulary Builder, that's another feature that's included on this Kindle device. Go to a book, and what we can do is pick a word, press and hold. Definition comes up, so the student can, or the child can read through it. If they need Wikipedia, that helps out a little bit more. Now, you can go home, press the Vocabulary Builder. This supports the reading, and as you see, nonsense has been added to our vocabulary list. You can either delete it or press usage. It's the other ways it's used. If you mastered it already, you can mark it as mastered and it'll remove itself from the list. You have an option for flashcards. So this helps the student or child as they're reading books to learn and reinforce different concepts while learning and reading. So now I went ahead and opened a book, and this is what the font, I enlarged the font, and earlier in a video I showed you how to enlarge the font settings, but again, for a refresher, you tap the top of the page and that menu comes up, and if you want to enlarge the font or make it smaller, as you see behind, that's all you need to do. You can change the font style as you see behind. Okay. So once you do that, you can also adjust the line spacing and margins if you want to. And when you're done, you just hit the X. All right. So it shows you kind of how the text looks.